hate when that happens, you know, guys. You are talking, you do a part already. I walked through the house a while ago, look at something, so now I have to go back and walk because I'd hate the pricing of the videos just to get it in one after accidentally stopping the first part. So I'm talking about the house wiring. I employed some guys to do the wiring. As far as I know is, you just string the wires through the various areas. The person referred to me previously for the first stage where they put in the boxes and so on. I'm now hearing that it was done the old way. Remember, I haven't lived in the house long. I just did it last year, and I'm being told that they did it the old way, so they have to be removing stuff. So what I'm going to be walking through and showing you is the different areas where the orange piping was placed and overlapping that is being done, and additional sections that are being opened, and recutting of the floors in some area. Now I know some persons say they don't like the idea of cutting the floor because you have to use too much cement or whatever. At this stage of my building, I guess it's neither 6 or 1/2 dozen of the other, as my mother would say. It don't matter. So I'm gonna show you the cutting, and again the condition. I just did a video about the condition of the house, talking in terms of things you have to face living in the house while it's being built. All right, so let me show you. Right, well, David says she's going to try to cook here, so well, season the meat. I'm going to build a fire, but they cut a plug there. I said initially I want 2 plugs. Obviously they put in 3, 1 down there, 4. They're cutting along the walls here, and persons who have been doing their own stuff, they can tell me what this looks like, because based on what they're saying, how it was done up before, it was the old way versus what is being done. There was no plug done on the veranda. They didn't. I remember telling one of the guys who I was talking to at the time when they did the first phase that yes, I put one on the veranda. And what? You can't do it in here, right? You can look at the condition and the cleaning that we have to do. So all of this have to be done over. There's a plug here that I put in that has a parallel one inside the bedroom, right? So right there has another one to the back of it in the bedroom that you access in the bedroom. They're cutting there. I don't know if that means I'm going to take that off. The other thing is, if you do your ceiling joints before, this is what's going to happen, because these guys not going to dig under it. So you have to think about the ceiling joints versus the laying of the pipes for the electricals. I don't know if there's a way around it, and they're the ones who did it before are just, corner cutters, but there are a number. I told them that there was a fridge going to be here. They didn't put the plug here, so that has to be cut as well. They're gonna put one there, and you can see the start with the electricals there. So correct me again if I'm wrong, but it's like they're doing both phases in one, right? So some kind of box goes there, and they have proper equipment in terms of cutting. All right, notice how they cut under here, right? I was wondering how they were going to do it, but they did it. Same for here. So, well, I have a little worry here. So by the end of the day, hopefully they finish what they're doing here, because I don't want no holes here for the night. Alright? So, I'm trying to do this video and then start a fire for this girl to cook outside, because she obviously can't cook inside. everything packed in the bedrooms. That too is something you have to think about if you're building while you're living in it. All right. But a number of things is obvious. You can't know who you're employing at all when you're making your steps, right? So I wonder what would have happened if I wasn't doing it in stages and this man came and did everything one time. And then I found out later on that it's an old way of doing and I had to rewire all of that. In this case, technically, as far as I'm concerned, I lost 4,000 because, and more than the 4,000, because the 4,000 cedis that I paid the man prior to putting in those boxes and an initial wire, I had to buy the piping, right? I had to buy the boxes, which reminds me, somewhere left and that disappeared. But anyway, so if some of these had to be taken out to adjust to the current way of stringing up your house, all of that money go down the drain. Because they are doing everything now, as far as I know, and as I am saying, anyone who knows different can correct me if I'm wrong. So all of this is happening now, and it's taken in the phase 1 as well as the phase 2. It's another 4,000. The only difference in the first P and this P is that this one is 4,200 cedis, and the first one was 4,000. And I heard it had to be talked down. The person who referred them had to talk them down to the 4. It gives you a headache when you think about the repercussions of all of this. But as I tell my brother, I am the guinea pig. So, outside of the mess in the house, so that's 4,000. But I guess 4,000 doesn't matter considering how many things I've had to redo and touch up since I started building. Because really and truly, it started being ridiculous. See, they put pipe outside. Let me show to facilitate the outside lights, which were not done. And the joke that is on me, you not knowing you don't have anybody to guide you. And for those persons who can pay contractors, that's fine. That's understandable. I'm not a contractor. So it was long after that I realized that they hadn't done anything for outside lights. Not a thing. And then I recently realized, since they came, that the plumber did one piping, and I kept thinking it was for the tub. However, what happened to the piping for the washing machine? That wasn't done. So you really have to have your head screwed on when you're doing this thing. Not just ask question. A lot of the stuff, I think, because the most I sitting on my shoulder, I think it could have been worse. You know, I recently paid for them to order the sheetings for the roof, and based on how I'm planning to do it, I don't even know if I'm doing it the right way, and I don't know who to ask, and everybody I reach out to refer to roofer. The big companies charging too much money. They want to do over the entire roof. So I'm in a quandary, people. But I try not to think of everything all at once. Tackle each problem one at a time, and the solutions one at a time. So this one now, after the upheaval with all of this dust, hopefully everything settled out. But you know, say there's a whole lot of cement now to go rectify all of that and fill in those holes again. Well, the good thing is that I had not yet done the walls. Okay, so here is the most glaring difference. When they came here the first, because I just went in and the guy was asking me some questions. I don't know what I need. Not totally. Basically, you come in. Anyway, I don't know what I need. I'm not going to go into that part. So, if they have done houses before, they know client to client what has been done, right? So they come in and they know basically what they're going to do. How many plugs normally in a kitchen, how many light switches, things like that, right? It's to say to you how many, usually so and so, how many do you want? I know some persons are going to say I should have an idea of how I want, because I don't. Nobody should know that except me. But why I'm mentioning what I'm mentioning, he called me a while ago, and this guy now, despite telling him that I don't want more than 2 lights in the living room, he mentioned recessed lights. It made you think, right? Do I want recessed lights or not? Do I want 3 or more? Things like that. If you have a middle section for your fan, you can have lights on that, but have lights also at the ends, sandwich the middle one where the fan is going to be. So things like that I end up thinking about while they're working, and you can say yes or no. I didn't have that experience previously. I'm not casting blame here. I am just saying I didn't have that experience before. Call me dumb. So they cut into the floor and I asked certain questions. So they have a box for switch over and another box. So 2 box. But the guys who came before didn't do 2 box. They just did 1. Then they had to widen the hole, take out the space that they have cut out the piping. You get where I'm going, guys? I'm puzzled. I know I'm going to have to be thinking about this a little at a time as I go along. But I'm saying there's a total different way of doing these things depending on who you employ to do it. And this is a younger guy. The one before had some young guys working for him. Now you have different leaders and bosses, right? You have some bosses who walk around and instruct, and you have some bosses who work along with the boys. They're instructing, but they're doing a part of the work, right? You have some who don't want to dirty their hands. That's what I call it. Don't care who offended. They put a lot of emphasis on status here. I am not a laborer. I'm a mason. I am not a laborer. I'm a carpenter. I'm the carpenter, And the funny thing is that sometimes it doesn't show in the work. It doesn't show in the leadership. And it doesn't show in the attitudes or skill of their laborers. But that's me and my experience. There are persons, because I tell you guys that I have had persons coming here to work who, their laborer, Simon for instance, who did my tiling, his laborers clean up after themselves, And I'm by no means saying anybody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. I'm just saying there are differences. And I guess some of the times you don't know the difference until you are going through these things. But anyway, I'm going to catch my little fire for cook the chicken, because she bought both that Davy bought. So I'll see you guys in another video. I'll just ate some cane. I was there watching the cane growing and forgetting that I should check to see which cane I can eat. So we went through and I have some roots I'm going to plant somewhere else in the yard. But right now I'm going to make up my fire. David, Carissa, I'm going to make up this little stove area. This is our outside stove area. And this is our little grill thing. When she's doing chicken. Right. But right now I'm just going to make up the fire while I'm look after the chicken. Alright, so we'll talk.